Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this one we are going to launch one EC2 instance, but this time we are going to launch one Linux from the free tier just to get started with virtual machines in Amazon Web Services. Okay, in the last video we did some work with the Windows. We connected to the Windows, made sure everything is working. This time we're going to do similar things but with the Windows. So again, your EC2 is the main computing service within the AWS. You have to know about this service. If you hover over it, will tell you Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, which is the EC2, provides resizable compute capacity through virtual machines, VMs or instances in the cloud. So what we can do, there are multiple ways to go to the EC2 link. You can come over here, you can type your EC2 and go from there. You can go to services and you can find the EC2 under compute. I already marked this service as a favorite one, so it will also show up in my favorite section. And if you have recently worked with this particular service, it will also show up over here under the recently visited services. So I'm going to click on this and it should bring me to this particular page where it's all about the EC2 dashboard. Now on the left hand side, there are a whole bunch of things that you can do with your instance: events, tags, limits, instances, instant types, launch templates, port request, saving plans, reserved instances. Some of the advanced topics we will cover later: dedicated hosts, capacity reservation. So some of these are very new topic and could be a little bit more complicated when you first introduced to this kind of concepts. AMI is the Amazon machine images. Then EBS, you gotta have some storage that you attach to the VM. You gotta have your networking available to your EC2 as well, such as security groups, elastic IP, placement groups, key pairs, network interfaces. Some of them we're gonna use. Load balancing, load balancer and target groups, and then auto scaling. Now let's focus on this area over here. In here you see I have zero instances that are running. I have got one security group and I have no volumes. It looks like I have nothing right now. Okay, so what I can do, I am going to come over here and click on the launch instance button. Like, let's see, so this button used to be in a different spot, so that if we click on the instances, you can also go and click on the launch instance from here. Okay, so either way, if you click on the launch the instance, it's gonna start our deployment process. Now what do we want to deploy? Now if you're using this AWS for learning, for certification or whatever, so you want to use the free tier just to avoid any kind of expense that's really not required for learning purposes. So under quick start, if you come over here, you can click on my AMIs. I don't have any, so there should not be anything in here. You can get your AMI from the marketplace if you like, and if you go marketplace, you will see there are thousands and thousands of AMIs like infrastructure software, DevOps, business application, machine learning, IoT, industries, like anything you can think of. You probably got a AMI. If you go to even community AMI, the number of community AMI is even higher. Like if this marketplace is in 1,000, your community AMI is probably 10,000 or even more. So you can go to a lot of places to get the AMI that you need. But for our purposes, what we'll do, we want to go back to the quick start, and I want to click on the free tier only. Okay, so that's gonna give me the AMI. So that are free, that are eligible for the free tier. So I'm not gonna spend too much money. So what can I launch? I can launch Amazon Linux 2 AMI. Okay, let's see. Then Red Hat. Okay, then ASUSE, then Ubuntu 20.04. As a matter of fact, that's the machine that I'm running right now and recording this video. I can deploy Microsoft Windows, which we have done in the previous lab. Then Server 2019, Debian, some more Windows stuff, some other types of Linux, SUSE Linux, other version, a previous version of Ubuntu, and Amazon Linux with .NET Core, PowerShell, Mono, and Mate desktop environment. Let's see, so whole bunch that I have. Okay, so what we wanna do in this one, we want to select one of these instances. Let's go back to the very top. Let's just go with Amazon Linux, Linux 2. Okay, so this particular Linux, if you just read about it, Amazon Linux 2 comes with 5 years of support. Okay, so again, it's a distro that Linux distro that is completely built by Amazon. They're gonna provide a 5 years of support. It's based on Linux kernel 4.14, tuned for optimal performance on Amazon EC2. So that's great. Then this AMI is the successor of the Amazon Linux AMI that is approaching end of life on December 31st, 2020, and has been removed from the wizard. So previously there was another AMI that you can no longer select for installation. So let's just go with this, hit select, and over here what you see, here on the first column you have the family. What is the family? T2 is a second generation. Okay, T1 would be the first generation. So I see this T3 is the third generation and all of that stuff, 5th generation. And it's a little cryptic, but micro is the one most of the time. This is the baseline level of CPU performance with the ability to burst above the baseline. So if you read a little bit over here, so every single one, they will have nice description what they are. So again, the T2 micro receives CPU credits continuously at a rate of 6 CPU credits per hour. But you will see most of the time the micro one is typically eligible for the free tier. Okay, so large is large, T2 is the extra large. So once you see if it's extra large, you will see it's being reflected with the number of vCPU and the memory. Okay, so if you go higher, these are going to go the bigger. Okay, so like if you come down here, so say you have a C5, so C4 8 extra large, you got 36 CPU and 60 gigs of memory. So that's going up and up and up, right? And here it will tell you what kind of performance you're gonna expect out of this particular type that you're gonna select. Okay, now you can, for a filtering, you can also click over here and see there are so many different types of images that are available. Some of them are memory optimized, some of them are CPU optimized, some of them are for different purposes. Okay, so you just have to kind of do your own research and figure out which one would be the best. But so these are the instance families. Okay, you can also go, so the current generations are the generation that Amazon says okay use this one, but you can also go back to the old generation, and that will even show you even more types that are like even old, that maybe when Amazon started they had some earlier generation that Amazon these days won't recommend you to install anymore. So let's get back to current generation and just stick to T2. And there are actually other features, other columns that you can take a look if you like. It's just currently selected this. I don't want that. I want to change that to T2 micro. Okay, so let's select that one, and then you can click on the show height column over here. So you see the clock speed is not displayed right now. I can click on it, so now I can see the clock speed. Processor architecture is not selected, so I click on that one. Turbo, I can select that one either as well. AVX, AES NI. Okay, so you use this feature if you want to know some of the other columns from this particular summary table. So in this one that we're going to choose, we have a 2.5 gigahertz clock speed, one virtual CPU with 1 gigs of memory. I have a low to moderate network performance, but I do get IPv6 support if I need to. Processor both 32-bit and 64-bit is supported, and that's about it. So let's do the next one and next page and see what do we need to configure for the instance at the instance level. Okay, so in here we need to do a few things. Okay, so first of all, the number of instances. Okay, if you don't need the auto scaling, which we will cover at a later stage, we just interested in only one instance, which is good. You can request a spot instance if you like. Okay, it will tell you the current spot instance price. Interesting thing, you can also bid on this price. You can say, okay, I want to pay 0037, something like that. So just to make sure that you have something available to you. But if you're selecting this feature, remember that somebody else can outbid you. Okay, so that's a little bit more advanced feature, so I'm just gonna remove that one for now. The next thing that we want to do is to look at how the network is being created. Okay, so if you look at it right now, I have only one default network, and if you click on it, okay, I have 3 different subnet and no preference default subnet in any availability zone. So really when we create it, you will see that if we don't choose anything, it will be placed in one of these default subnets. Okay, now let's see, auto assigning public IP, use subnet setting enable. So that is probably okay for now. And placement group, we are not gonna talk about this one at this time. Capacity is a new feature. You don't need to mess with it at the moment. This we are now IAM role, we are not gonna do anything. Shutdown feature, any of these we don't need to really configure right over here. So let's go. So for the networking, for this particular video, we are really not doing much. We're just going to go with the default that Amazon is providing. We're going to go with the default VPC, and it will place the machine in one of the availability zones, one of the subnets. Okay, if you want, you can create a new VPC and new subnet, but we'll cover that at a later stage. Let's go do some storage configuration. As a matter of fact, let's come back to this one real quick before we go to the storage. So if you come over here under the advanced detail, if you want to do something to that particular image that you're installing, you can pass additional stuff in here. Say you want to just update the system. Okay, so you can always do like bang, then bean bash. This is the sabang, and then you can do yum update. So that's gonna update the system. Just pass the yes parameter, so it just telling you, yeah, go ahead and update it. And then maybe you want to install HTTPD. Okay, so we can do yum install HTTPD. And maybe you even want to start the HTTPD service, so you will do service HTTPD, then start, and that's about it. So let's say that we are also in addition to whatever we have configured here, we are going to pass on to this particular image. Okay, so let's go to the next stage now. Add storage. Alright, so over here by default it's adding a root storage, and you have the mounting point. It's gonna be 8 gigs. It's a general purpose SSD. You can click here and you can change if you want to change the type. If you want a magnetic, the standard, or GP3, IO1, IO2, you can do that, but in this particular video we are not doing anything. Over here under encryption, right now it's not encrypted. If you want encryption, you can use the encryption, okay, and it's gonna use this particular KMS key ID to do your encryption of this particular disk drive. So I'm not gonna do this over here at this time. We'll come back and learn how to do that after you deploy your machine. Also remember, your free tier is eligible up to 30 gigs. So if you're deploying like 5 of these machines, just be careful and not go over the 30 gigs limit. Okay, so what we want to do next is, let me just go and add maybe some tags. Let's see if we have anything. Let's just do cloud security training, and EC2 Linux is gonna be my tag. Okay, and then next is the configuration of the security group. Now security group is very important. Okay, this is really a firewall at the instance level. Okay, this is going to control what ports you're going to open and what port you're going to close, and how you want to check the flow of traffic. So right now, since it's a Linux image, and Amazon is just thinking that, sorry about the background noise, but what we can do at this time, since Amazon already knows this is a Linux image and possibly you need to be able to get into the machine using port 22 by SSH access, it wants to open the port, and right now it's telling anybody all over the world can come to the machine and be able to get and log into the machine. That may not be something that you want, but right now for this demo purposes we are going to use that one. We can actually add another rule. Okay, let's say we want to add a HTTP because we installed the HTTPD server, right? And Amazon already knows that typically you would run a website on port 80. So it's just opening it up. I said, okay, that's fine. It just said, okay, just add everybody. I'm going to say, okay, that's fine too. So the next thing that we have, like, there are no other button. So you just have to click the review and launch. But over here, you're gonna see the summary of what you have done so far. So you are using a free tier eligible Amazon Linux 2 AMI, and it's a T2.micro type. You got 1 vCPU, 1 gigs of memory. It's a elastic block storage that you got of 8 gigs. You got some ports open, okay, and then if you want to change anything, just feel free to click any of this edit button over here or click on the previous button. I'm pretty happy and satisfied with this, so I'm just gonna click on launch, and it should ask me now, how am I going to authenticate to this particular machine once it's started. Now at this time we gotta create a key pair. Okay, so if you have a key pair, you can use that. I don't have any right now, so I'm gonna create a new key pair and just name the key pair as KP, and then I'll say EC2 AMI. Okay, that is gonna be my key pair. Now you have to click on the download key pair, and hopefully it will be downloaded to my downloads folder. So right there, just make sure, yeah, it's there. I can click on it, download is ready. So right there is that file. So that's good. We're gonna need this file to be able to successfully connect to this particular machine. Okay, so now we're good, and if you read this, you have downloaded the private key file. Before you can continue, you have to. So if you don't do that, they will not even let you launch the instance. So they're also telling store it in a secure and accessible location. You will not be able to download the file again after it's created. So make sure that you have done that. So now let's click on the launch instance, and hopefully you will see a success. So now it says the installs are now launching, and if you want, you can do a lot of things, and one important thing you should be creating is the create a billing alert, because if you're new and you don't want to get charged, that's probably you should do, right? Here, for example, if you exceed the free tier usage, do you want to get notified? Yeah, of course I do, but that maybe we'll cover in the next video. Okay, so let's just give it a second, and let's see what happens, and what to do and how to connect to the machine once this deployment is done. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go back to AWS. Okay, go back to the EC2 again, and this time it says instance running. Look at that, isn't it wonderful? It says 1. So now, and I have security group 2, and here I have 1 instance, and that should be running. So let's just click on that one, and I want to make sure the state. So once you first start deploying, the state is like a provisioning or deploying in some other state, but it will not say running. When it says running, then I know that it's running. Okay, let's come back over here. So I see there public DNS that is available, public IP is been assigned. So first thing I'm gonna do is copy that one. Can I copy Control C? Let's do Control C, and I'm gonna open up one of my command window and just ping and see it's even responding to ping request at all. It may or it may not, based on, so it didn't respond to my ping request. That's fine. Now nothing to be worried about. Okay, so here you have a summary of few things over here. You can go inside that particular instance by clicking on it, and here it's saying public IPv4 address. Okay, public IPv4 DNS, VPC ID, subnet ID. What else is interesting? So let's see, overcome here, security. I think you will see the network security groups and the ports, everything that's on. It's just telling you those are all on. Those are the ports that are open. Networking, you don't need too much more information, so it's just again giving you the IP address and network interfaces, stuff like that. Storage should have 8 gigs of elastic block storage, so that's attached. That's but that's not encrypted. So, and it's once you delete so encryption is no. So that is something that I always recommend, that you do encrypt your drives. And let's see, what else do I need to look at over here? Status checks should not give you too much, should say okay. And monitoring is off, we haven't enabled, and tags should be 1 tag. Okay, so most of the time it looks pretty good. Okay, the IP address, the ping, and why it's not responding. So it's a security feature. So if it's responding to ping, so you will, like I will know, or anybody else, they can run like a ping sweep, and they can figure out, okay, this is an instance that is actually running up and running. We don't want to do that. So that is the reason that your ping service is typically they're turned off. So if you want to get response, you have to turn it on specifically once logging into the machine. So let's try one more thing though. So let's just copy this one. Okay, and copy this one, go over here and just paste it and try to go there and see what is going on. If it's even the web server, if that is accessible, if there's anything there. There may not be anything there. I'm just checking, and looks like there may not be anything. Okay, so third thing that I want to do, okay, so let's just connect to the machine, get inside the machine and see what is going on. Okay, so that might be cool. So let's just get started with that portion of the video. Now, how you connect to your instance, it will depend on what kind of machine that you're using. Right now I'm using Linux, so I have a lot of benefit actually, because I have the SSH client installed. So if you're on Windows, you have to mess with your PuTTY and do certain things to be able to connect to that particular instance, Linux instance. Okay, but if you're working with a Windows, definitely you have a benefit. Windows connecting and establishing RDP connection is easier than from Ubuntu. in my opinion. You can do that, and I typically use Linux to connect to our Windows machines as well, just fine. But anyway, so over here to connect, really you will come over here. There are multiple different options to connect. So you just click on the connect, and it will tell you what are the different ways that you can connect. You can go to use EC2 Instance Connect, System Manager, SSH Client, and EC2 Serial Console. 4 different ways. So we're just gonna stick to the SSH client at this time. Okay, so it's saying open the SSH client and then locate your private key, and then the key used to launch instance is kp ec2ami.pem. So it remembered what was the name of the key. So usually when you come over here, so let's just go to our command prompt and cd to our downloads, and here I have the pem file, right? And the name is kp. So this is the file that we are working with. So if I do okay, so if I do this, and then if I look at this particular file, not that one, this one, if you look at the permission, here you have read write. So that means 4 plus 2 6, read write, 4 plus 2 6, and read. So 6 6 and 2. So that's a lot of permissions that we have given to this particular file. We don't want to do that, so that would be a security risk. So what Amazon is saying, hey, change that file, run this command. So let's just do sudo and then change the permission on this file and make it 400 only. So there we go. And now if I do again ls/lah and go back to the file, okay, you see now this file, the permission is now reduced. Now it has got only read permission. Okay, so nobody else can modify the content of the file. So that's way more secure. So now to connect, okay, you can use SSH, then you provide the path of that particular PEM file, and then you can just copy the whole thing. Okay, you can use the DNS name or you can use the IP address, doesn't matter. So let's just do a clear here and paste and hit enter and just select this thing and then hit yes, and then you should be logged in, and I am logged into the machine. So that's, I know everything is running. So you can do a ls, there is nothing there. I can do a touch some text file .txt, then ls, and I got the some text file txt. So I know that my image is running properly and I can log in. One thing to check quickly is am I connected to the internet? So ping google.com and I am getting response. So I know that I'm completely connected. So let's check couple other things. Okay, so control C. So we try to install and update our machine. Say maybe it has failed. Okay, so let's just do yum update and see what happens. So it's saying you need to be root to be able to perform this command. So just do sudo yum update and that should take care of it. And it says no packages marked for update. That means when we ran and the command that we passed, it did work. What about HTTPD? So let's just check for sudo yum install HTTPD. So this one, okay, so that one for some reason looks like was not installed properly. So I'm just gonna say yes, and now looks like this installation is now complete. So if it's complete, I'm gonna come back to this and just try to go to this particular, okay, this is going over HTTPS. I'm gonna just change this to HTTP and try to go there. It's still nothing. So what I'll try to do next is sudo service httpd and then start. Okay, so I know that at least the HTTPD service is running. So even though you may not see anything over here even now, that means there is no, well, now it's now actually showing. So there we go. So what it did, it installed the Apache, okay, and it's now running the service on port 80. And if you remember, we have enabled in our security group access to the port 80 is open to the entire world. So what we have just done, we have launched an Amazon AMI EC2 instance. While we were installing, we also upgraded the machine. For somehow our HTTPD installation failed, it seems like, but we were able to install it manually just by running our HTTPD sudo install HTTPD, then starting the service by running sudo service HTTPD start. So sudo yum install HTTPD, then sudo service HTTP start. So that started the service, and now if you can go, it just running it's just rendering this web page at port 80, and it's now accessible. So that's wonderful. That's all we kind of wanted to cover in this lab. So let's see what else we should do before we close this video. Alright, maybe before I close the video, I want to go back to the instances, and I want to show you how to stop the machine, because that is important, because if you don't want to incur cost. Two things I'm going to show actually. So first of all, I'm going to click on this one, okay, and where is my machine? Actually instance state. So you can go to the instance state. We want to really terminate. If you click on terminate, it usually stops and then terminates, but what you can do, you can click on stop. Okay, so that's gonna stop the instance. It's just successfully stopped. That means if we go to this page, it should not show me anything anymore. See, it's actually loading. It's actually not doing anything. So I know that it instance been stopped properly. So the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and click on terminate, and it's gonna say a few things and say, hey, confirm that you want to terminate this particular machine, and I'm gonna say yes, and now it says it's successfully terminated that instance as well. So I'm gonna go back to EC2. Now it says instance running. It still says 1. It should not say 1 because it's terminated. I'm gonna refresh real quick, and now it's 0 and 1 instance is available, but nothing is so everything looks good. So that's all I wanted to cover in this video. So if you like this, please give me a thumbs up, like, and sign up for more wonderful videos in the future. Have a great day.